Ready when you are.
Okay, good. We are on. All right, I'd like to call the Exeter Township Board of Supervisors meeting on March 11, 2024 to order. Please rise for pledge to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You had me out of whack, Michelle.
Who's doing roll call? I guess I am. I'll do roll call. Then just for info before I do roll call is Michelle Kirchner is under the weather, so she has called in. And Larry has a previous engagement for at his daughter's wrestling banquet this evening, so he's not here. All right, George Bell.
Here.
Clarence.
Here.
Dave Hughes.
Here.
Michelle Kirchner. And Jack Pyho, all present. Thank you. Agenda amendments. Do we have any agenda amendments tonight? Okay. Hearing none. Announcements. I have no announcements. Anybody have an announcement for good of the order? Nope. Okay, moving along. Public comments. Agenda items. Let's see, who's first up? Okay, first up on agenda items is Bill Clark. Bill, just state your name.
Okay. Bill Clark, Shelbourne Road, Reading, PA. I'm talking about the Lorraine Nursery. Township approved from size of the buildings, they increased it last meeting. What was not talked about was the traffic. You're putting 500 plus additional vehicles from the section of the road, of Shelbourne Road, running from alongside Home Depot. That's a township road. You're going to increase the traffic through there by at least from 50 vehicles a day to over 500. Some townships, when buildings like it's been proposed in the Lorraine Nursery area, makes the builder responsible for the roadways leading to that development for a period of anywhere up to 7 years. I think one of the townships in Berks County does it for 7 years. And the reason I bring that up, right now, I guess that roadway probably can handle the traffic. But what's going to happen with potholes? Especially when I look at that road, and I didn't find any storm sewers in that area. So we pre-salt the road, and we got all that traffic coming back for it. Somebody's got to plow it. Right now, when they plow it, they probably push it right up against the fence at the end of the roadway, which is no problem. But you start putting tons of salt on that road, and you start throwing it over that bank, which the developer actually admitted last meeting that it's very steep around his property. It's just as steep right next to Home Depot. And salt, I don't care if it's sodium chloride or calcium chloride. Salt's a very effective weed killer, and that's what's holding that bank together right now, is weeds. So you're gonna dump salt down there, kill the weeds, and dump water down there? Guess what? Your township, me, gonna be responsible for paying the taxes to fix that damn thing. And that's what's gonna happen, and I know it. So I have enough to say about that. The next thing I have is the volunteer service credit. There was a big discussion on who writes the credit and who writes the criteria for the credit and who performs it. You know, it sounded to me like the assistant fire chief wrote what constitutes credit viability. I applied for the credit, here's what I did. Sounds like he wrote that whole article and sent it to the board, and the board approved it, which they're allowed to do. You can do that. But the one thing, as a taxpayer, 3 words were never mentioned. The 3 most important words in any negotiation. Cost, cost, cost. Nobody told me how much this credit is going to cost us. It may be $100 a year, I don't care. Because I think the volunteer people are right. But as a matter of principle, you need to address the cost. I realize a lot of government agencies believe in tax and spend as a matter of law, as far as they look at it. But I think we need a tax credit, and I think that it's justifiable. I really do. Because I do like a fireman. They come to my house at least once in 40 years. The next thing I saw on the edge that came up was the length of the meetings. People were asking questions. I, for one, get more information on what's going on in this township and in this meeting from both public comment before the meeting and after the meeting, and questions asked by board members during the meeting. Now, it was mentioned, well, I get my information beforehand. I see if I have any questions, I call and check, do this, and bring it up. Well, first of all, you can only talk to one other board member at a time. Can't talk to 2 together, because it was board members saying that, because that's sunshine, sunshine violation. But also, I sat here for 2 years, listening to meetings where they fought tooth and nail and screamed and hollered and censured people for going in and asking township employees questions about their job. As a supervisor of the companies I worked at, I better been able to go down and talk to anybody on that floor. But the boards, we had 2 board members that voted against that, having board members go down and talk to either foreman or personnel employed by this township. And we have another board member who actually worked for the township, screamed and hollered about board members coming down and talking to people that work for him. You know, you can look at the videos. They're there. I thank you very much. I got one other thing. I forgot about that. The one other thing, I want to thank the board members and the public for showing out at that PAW rate increase meeting.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I learned a whole lot about the people. One of the things is 17% of our township citizenry is over 65 or senior citizens. But one thing stood out even greater, how much of a burden these rate increases are on families, small, new families. I mean, really, they were struggling. You could hear it. And one lady there I thought she was going to cry because she was so upset, and she should be. I mean, 21%. The people that voted for selling that sewer plant and sit there mute and complain because people ask questions doesn't have a lot to say. I think the board members should start asking questions, and especially bringing out cost of everything. You approve something, it has a cost. It has a cost to the township every time. Thank you.
Bill, don't go away. I'm going to respond very briefly to a couple of your comments. There is a traffic study that's been authorized by the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors for the Lorraine Nursery property. So we're going to be looking at all the intersections surrounding, not only on Shelbourne, but also on Lincoln, et cetera. So we'll have a good feel when that traffic study is done. So that is being done. You had mentioned about cost. Well, the fireman's credit, there was a cost in the presentation that the deputy chief gave. If you'd like to see that, if Deputy Chief is here tonight, I don't know if he has a copy of it with him or not, but we can see that you get it, okay? That is info. And there was, I have here, yeah, okay, get Bill the cost. And yes, you can talk to the staff, okay? If anybody denies your opportunity to talk to Larry or somebody that you need to talk to down here, we'd like to know about it.
Well, I was more interested in the board members not being able to talk.
Okay. No,
to
the board
staff.
members all go through Larry. We all go through Larry, and then he goes to the various staff members and gets the information for us, or he sets up a meeting for us to meet with the staff member.
Okay.
Okay, so nobody's being denied an opportunity to talk to staff. It's just a procedure to go through so we all don't keep coming down here and knocking on a staff member's door and tie them up. Okay, I appreciate your comments, though.
I have one comment.
Got one more thing?
No, one comment you just said.
Okay,
It's not the traffic study I'm worried about. I'm worried about that section of road where I definitely feel it's going to degrade dramatically. That section of road is going to degrade dramatically, and I want to know who's going to pay for the repairs, and for how long are you going to, as a board, or the planning board even, say, builder, you are responsible for that section of road for the next 7 years, or the next 5 years, or 3 years. Because if there's any damage, you're the one that has to take care of it.
there are a schedule of repairs, repaving, et cetera, that the township maintains. I have no idea. We'll have to defer to that one to Larry of when it would be next schedule. Potholes are taken care of, though, right away.
Doesn't come along.
Yep.
Well, if that bank washes out, you're going to have trouble.
We'll have to take a look at that. I made a note. Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Put my glasses back on. Pat, and I'm probably not going to say that, is it Nassac? Wait. Okay. I apologize, Pat.
No problem. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask some questions. My concern is about the Reading Country Club and the fact that none of the residents of Exeter Township were ever contacted or notified or requested to attend a meeting so that you could have both sides of the pros and cons, what's going on, and when was the decision made? I mean, that you were going to take a motion to go out and look and seek for somebody to buy it. The country club.
Yep, no,
Yeah.
I hear you. I don't know if, are you waiting for me to respond to that?
Yeah.
We're going to discuss it this evening. It's on the agenda.
Okay, because, well, I've spoken to some friends, not everybody in the world, but a lot of them were really disappointed that they were just finding out about it. I mean, nothing, we weren't sent something in the mail or, I mean, we just didn't know. And for transparency's sake, I mean, it would have been nice. And it would also, I think, be very considerate and a good idea to bring in some residents into the, when you start to question and make decisions and find out what they want. I mean, there at the, over the grounds. So that's it. I'm just really concerned that that the residents aren't being advised or hadn't been advised earlier, and that they're not being connected with right now. And I think there's a lot of good people out in the township.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, next, Glenn Hoover.
My big concern tonight is when I saw under administration, the authorization of KCBA architect. I had the misfortune of going through this when they originally contacted this architect with our plans for changing our location. And unfortunately, due to the feelings of the board, one person denied us all from hearing what the conclusion was on what they had proposed. And what bothers me was it was a substantial amount of money. We're talking like $60,000, okay? Which we never got a chance to hear. And I don't know if the board now is aware of the feelings of this architect, how this is going to affect you further on down the line with redesigning our building here. Do we play the same game? Excuse me. That if the rules don't apply to me and I like it, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see that again. And I think it's very, very unfair. Can you tell me what the board's voting was to accept this architect? Somewhere along the line you had to come up with it. Is everybody in favor of them?
It's on the agenda. We're going to be discussing it
That's not what I asked
tonight.
you. What's on the agenda? What was the feeling before you put it on the agenda? Are they all in favor of it?
Who put it on the agenda?
That's why we put it on the agenda, so we have the discussion.
Not we.
Yep.
It's not we. It's Shadeen.
See, that's what I'm afraid of. You don't like what proposals are, what's in mind. Because I kind of think off the top of my head, there was some talk about revamping this building at one time. And it might have been with the same architect. But it bothers me to think that we're going to go through the same scenario and blow another pile of money away with nothing to show for it. That bothers me. And you can't tell me I didn't hear it because I sat there and I heard it. It's unbelievable. I sure hope you reconsider. And I know there's people here that weren't here on the board when the original planning went.
Glenn, one quick comment. Yes, I remember that well because I was on the board at that time. The architect was going to have multiple public meetings. The board that took over decided not to have those meetings. That's why there were
Were you a
no
part of
public
that?
meetings. I was on the board before that. I was on the board when we approved that expenditure to come up with preliminary plans, and it was to be presented in public meetings to the township residents. That did not occur with the new board that took over in 2022.
And there's really no sense of security that with the board you got now, you'll do the same thing.
Yeah, we will not, my vote, we will not do that again.
You're
We
only one, and I saw
will,
one turn the whole
I am
damn
one
thing
vote,
down.
but we will not do that again, Glenn. We will communicate what the plans are, what we come up with, what the architect comes up with to the residents. I promise you, my vote, we will have public meetings. Thank you, Glenn. Okay, next. Don Wilson.
Good evening. Don Wilson, 645 Gerhart Lane. I was on the board after they bought the country club. The reason they bought the country club was to stop excessive development of 500-plus townhouses. Now you're talking about selling it. My question is it to be sold as a country club? Is it to be sold to somebody to develop it? If it's going to be sold to develop it, or are we going to get refunds on the amount of money that we've put in each individual taxpayer to keep it like it is? And as far as it's running, I don't understand how other municipalities around here, like Allentown, maintains a municipal golf course and they have no problems with it. A lot of the problems I saw when I was on this board was we couldn't keep our hands out of the running of the country club. Keep your hands off of it, let a firm come in and run it as a profitable business. And that's the only comments I have. I'm just worried about dumping it and not gaining anything for it. We should at least keep it, if you can't make it a country club, keep it as open space.
Jack, I'd like to address this comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
First of all, you're absolutely right. We don't control costs. We never talk about it. You never see any financial information discussed here. Our salaries on the golf course alone is almost $700,000. That's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it is, from what I just learned tonight, it is going to be bought by Berks County Redevelopment Authority. That's what I found out tonight. It's a shock to me. I didn't know it. There are certain people in this room that are doing these deals without the whole board knowing about it, because I know that because I didn't know about that. So I'm disturbed about that. And I agree with you. I think it should be open space for the public. It'll be a good draw for future people moving to this township to have a space such like that.
Well, you go to any of the other towns around here, like Allentown, Bethlehem, there's big open spaces in the middle of their cities. And that's how they got them, by keeping the development out of there. I'm just concerned that we're going to stick 500 more houses in there and just bottleneck this whole area that nobody's going to be able to move. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe the record should be left where it is at the moment. I think that should be enhanced on what our plans are, because that will sow concern and upsetment among the residents if we leave it just with Supervisor Hughes's remarks. So either now or later in the agenda, I think we need to give a little more perspective.
Okay,
So
all right. Jerry Galiff? No, you're going to pass? Okay. And Vicky? And Vicky, I'm going to apologize to pronounce your last name.
Vicki DiArcangelo, Exeter Township. To the Board of Supervisors, you will be voting tonight on the sale of the Exeter Promenade and the Reading Country Club. I implore you to think long and hard before you vote. The residents of Exeter Township are already suffering from what turned out to be a very poor decision from a previous Board of Supervisors on the sale of our water and sewer system, as well as a vote more recently to increase taxes by 24%. I have lived in Exeter Township for 37 years, and I love it here. However, I do hope to retire soon. but with the increase in the water, the sewer, and our taxes, it's difficult. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to live here. You five represent all of the residents of Exeter, and we suffer or benefit from your actions. I am asking that you please vote accordingly.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, that concludes public comments. Next item, approvals. The minutes of February 26, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion to, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of February 26, 2024.
Okay. Is there a second? And I heard Michelle. Michelle has seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Nope. Okay. Call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 4-1. Disbursements of March 11, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve the disbursements of March 11, 2024?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Clarence, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
George? Discussion?
I do, sir. First of all, I'd like the board to stop saying I'll make it, because when you say that, we don't know if they're going to approve it, reject it, table it, or whatever. Please make the full motion. This is the way Robert's Rules of Order is conducted. I have a couple problems. I do have some invoices that Larry was gracious enough to get for me before he went on his journey tonight. But before I do that, I want to say the invoices that I'm really concerned about are Mr. Schnee's invoices, 23 invoices, and I'm appalled by the absurdity of the situation. I'm not allowed to see Schnee's invoices, but I'm expected to vote to approve them. But other board members, like you, Mr. Paiho and Bell, you can see them. Our interim township manager told me that you, the chairman, and the vice chairman, Mr. Ham, forbid him from sharing the unredacted information with me because of the litigation against me. I have that from you in an email. It seems that Schnee is involved in this litigation, which he should not be. This case is handed off to Kozloff and Stout, not Schnee. Schnee's invoices should not have any confidential or privileged information anyway. This shows a clear conflict of interest and a lack of authorization. Schnee is trying to make money from our township's governance issues. This is unacceptable and must be stopped. You, Mr. Chairman, and Ham claim to be honest and professional. You want honesty and professionalism in our government, but you're doing exactly the opposite. You are telling the township manager to hide information from me. How is that honest or professional? What if I told Mr. Pearsall to deny you, John Paiho of Paiho Engineering, a new supervisor, deny you access to the Treasury report? Would he listen to me? You and him have no more authority than any other supervisor, but you're acting like you own the government. That's my statement on the issues with the lack of transparency on Mr. Schnee's invoices. Now, what I did get, I got other invoices, which, is she talking? I hear her talking. Okay, so what I asked for were some things like, I looked at the total recycle invoice. That's for $10,723.77. This invoice is for the recycles that are picked up and they process them, but they can't sell them. So they end up back in the dump, where this whole process is supposed to prevent it from going into the dump. So if we were to throw this in our normal trash, our garbage guy would pick it up, and we're paying him every month to pick it up, but we're paying an extra $10,000 to,
What line item, Dave?
I don't know, it's just, I just did it by
Oh,
total
okay.
recycle, so go to the T's.
Okay,
Doubletree, this is now two invoices, one for $5,224.90, one for $3,290.50. So we pay them, we send them a check, combined of $8,434 for 2 banquets held at the Reading Country Club. That's what they got, $8,434. You know what we got? $794, okay? It's a joke. It's a sham. It's a scam. And there's the guy who wrote the contract and put it before us to approve it. Again, I can't see any of Schnee Legal Services invoices.
Schnee, I keep wondering.
Great Valley Consultant, I asked a question in a previous meeting where they invoiced us in February, it's $54,081. I asked, well, how much that gets rebated to us where we collect it from the services that they perform? Out of the $54,000 in February, according to the spreadsheet they gave me, we're going to get $4,824 back. I had a question about the B&M scale ink repair. We have a new scale to weigh these trucks, but we already incurred a general expense for repairs. I'll wait till Larry comes back and he can explain why that happened.
I can explain that.
You can explain it,
Yes.
Chief? Okay.
So when we had the weigh in motion scale put in, Larry and his crew did it, and there was a problem with the drainage system, and it was clogged, the leaves clogged the drainage, and a couple of the sensors got corroded, and we didn't understand why our scale wasn't working properly, so we had to pay a company to come out that installed it. They lifted it out and realized we found this problem, so Larry made the adjustments and regraded it and fixed the drainage system.
Is
But
that covered under insurance? Will we recover those expenses?
the bill was $2,300, and our insurance deductible's $5,000. So
Okay.
that's why it's not covered.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, and Dave, I can add to that, because I asked the same question to Larry, it was the power unit. When it flooded, unfortunately, it shorted out the power unit.
Yeah.
And that had to be replaced.
So it was just a, just a
It was
miss.
unfortunate.
Unfortunate mishap, but we took it out of the traffic budget, so we took it out of our budgeted money, so it's not like we took it out of anything else, so it was just out of our repairs that we normally use
Very
for
good.
the police
Okay.
department.
That's all I have for the invoices. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Any other questions on disbursements? Nope. Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor of approving disbursements of March 11, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed?
Because I can't see invoices, I have to vote nay. I'm opposed to approving these invoices.
Okay.
By the way, one of the invoices has a hourly rate of $275. Did Mr. Schnee increase his rate from $215 to $275?
Which one was
No.
that? Which one was that?
I think it was invoice 538. Actually, that might be in a January invoice that he did provide, but he redacted everything. He redacted everything.
Except for the dates and the amount and the number of hours, the topic of services performed?
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
But that's what I wanted to see. There shouldn't be any sensitive information in your invoice. If you're putting attorney-client privilege stuff in an invoice, I think we all should have a problem with that.
No, it's fine. There's about
I'm not going to
1,000
debate, I'm not going to
open
debate
records
with you.
decisions
I'm not going to debate with you.
discussing legal invoices and attorney-client privilege within them. Levy versus Senate of Pennsylvania, is a PA Supreme Court case. It talks about the specific
Listen,
descriptions of
I'm not going to
legal
let you
services
wind me
rendered.
around in the circle.
Well, I know, you have the dollar amounts, the subject matter, the hours, and the dates, sir.
I have the floor.
Okay.
You want him to speak
Is-
after I finish? Let him speak.
Is your vote no, Dave?
Yes, sir, it is no.
It's nay. All right, 4-1. All right, administration. Need a motion to approve the purchase of the camera system for administration and the police department. Could I have that motion?
So I'm going to make the motion. Nope. So I'll make the motion to approve the camera system for the administration of the police department.
And I'll second it.
And Michelle is seconding it.
Sorry,
Okay.
Michelle.
The
Supervisor.
discussion last time was where the money was coming from.
So I still have that
And it's
question.
coming from ARPA.
ARPA, okay.
Right, it's coming from ARPA funds, which is in the budget.
Larry went over it with me and wanted me to speak on it. If you'd like, if I have a chance, I could like to explain everything to you. So At the end of the last meeting, you said to Larry about getting with me about trying to locate the money. So he found the ARPA money had $795,000 left over in it. And it incurred a high interest last year of $32,000. And with everything budgeted, there's an excess of $21,000. So that's where that money would come from. So it's just something, I know it was appeared last week about it was a police issue, but this was a facility issue more than anything. The reason why this wasn't budgeted is because the camera system is so old, it was based on Windows 8. Windows 8 was discontinued in January 2023, and we weren't aware of that, and our IT company was just doing updates, and it finally went to the point where the updates couldn't keep it running anymore. So we monitor these cameras on a regular basis. It helps us when we have prisoners in the cells, when we're doing our evidence. It it records everything, and also our parking lots, and we monitor these, and then all of a sudden, boom, we come in one day and they're not working anymore. So that was no way of us knowing about it. That's why it wasn't budgeted, and that's where the money would be taken. So that we have $21,000 left in $21,700 left in ARPA.
Right.
In excess, because
Chief, do you know about when the system will all be upgraded, installed?
well, Larry got a quote of $18,000 from Alarm Tech, and it's a high-end system, and I guess that would be something that as soon as we would get approval, he could get it working right away.
Yeah.
He could get installation pretty soon.
If I remember right, it was like a May or June timeframe, but I'm not sure. I thought you might have something more definitive. It's not a big deal. It's not like it's a one-year project.
No, they would come within the next month, probably.
Right. It's a few months.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. Call the motion. All in favor of approving the purchase of the camera system for administration and police department, please say aye.
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 Okay, 5-0. Okay, next item is motion to authorize KCBA architects to explore options to meet long-term facility needs at the existing municipal complex.
Mr. Chairman, can we have a little discussion on this before we motion?
We can. You want to?
I'd like to.
All right, go ahead.
All right. KCBA has done some work for us in the past. On March 19th, 2020, they took a look at the existing campus, this place right here for Exeter Township. They have a 27-page slide on that. They did another one on November 19th, 2021, a concept design, not for this, but for the Promenade. So we've done some work with them, and like I think Bill Clark or someone mentioned, that we spent a lot of money with them and ended up with nothing. I think this is premature right now, and I think we should consider another firm before we go with them. Maybe we put this out for bid. I don't know, but KCB.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Will you please have the people out in the hall quiet?
Tell the bald idiot to shut up.
KCBA, has had the opportunity to look at this, and I think that we should consider another firm.
Okay.
All right, that's so I'd like to see us table this tonight. In fact, I make a motion that we table this, the authorization for KCBA architects to explore options for us, and let's define what they are. This is the first time I've seen this, so I don't know who's putting these things on the agenda, but I'm not involved in the discussion at all. I'd like to be involved in the discussion on what goes on the agenda. I've asked certain items to be put on the agenda. I've been denied. You know that last meeting, I had to, since it wasn't put on originally, I had to do an amendment, and no one seconded any of the things I wanted on there. For example, a forensic audit for the Reading Country Club. There's no way that should be sold until we do a forensic audit. That's for sure. So I'd like to get some of my things put on the agenda. You guys can shoot them down if you want. My understanding is that Mr. Schnee reviews all of our agendas before they're approved. Okay, I have some evidence to that as well. So you can shake your head over there. But
Are you addressing me, sir?
I think we should table this.
So what's yours?
I'd like to see us table this. I make a motion that we table this agenda item until a later date when we have more ideas of what we want them to,
Okay, are you
Explore.
making a motion to table?
Yes.
The KCBA item? Okay. Mr. Hughes has offered a motion to table the KCBA architect item. Is there a second? Okay, motion dies for lack of a second.
try.
Do I have a motion to authorize KCBA architects to explore options to meet long-term facility needs at the existing municipal complex?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Clarence, and I will second it. Okay. Dave, you made one statement about premature. I do not think this is premature. I admit I was one of the board members that wanted this put in so that we could do a 10,000-foot altitude look at the complex, including possible the future of the firehouse, the Public Works Building, staff, the police department.
Why KCBA?
KCBA already has the experience working with the township and with the various departments here.
Well, we know they haven't been very good experiences, as indicated by Mr. Hoover. I mean, don't you listen to what the public tells us?
Okay, I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't understand.
Don't you listen to what the public tells us? Mr. Hoover's been to a lot of these meetings. He knows
Right.
what KCBA has done, and it hasn't come to any fruition for us.
Right, and he did talk about KCBA, but if you recall, we never actually followed through with the study that was authorized by a previous board.
May 19, 2020.
Yep,
The study was done.
yep. Any other discussion on KCBA? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 4-1. All right, next one is consider request from the Boy Scout Troop 319 to use the township property for their annual Exeter and Mother's Day flower sale in the township. Before I ask for a motion, we'll do a brief discussion. Chief, I reached out to you and you responded that there's no conflict with using the way station.
Nope, no, our details after and before it, so we're good to go. And they have done it in the past, and it seems to work pretty good for them.
Right. So
we
that
have no
was the only
issues with it.
possible conflict that I saw and I asked about. Any other comments?
No.
Okay, can I have a motion then to approve that the Boy Scout Troop 319 use our township property, and the area they use is, I call it where the trucks come through. Am I pointing the right direction that way? Yeah.
It's the north side of the
For their
campus.
annual Easter and Mother's Day flower sale in the township. And do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Clarence, a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Michelle, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? You voted yes?
Said aye.
Okay, thank you, Dave, I'm sorry. Okay, solicitor. Jed, you're up first for number one.
All right, well, number one's always a good place to start now that we got the controversial flower sale out of the way. With the Promenade, there's a motion here to enter into agreement with the Berks County Redevelopment Authority for the sale of the Promenade Shopping Center. Under the second-class township code under 1305, normally we have to put properties out to bid. And in fact, we actually did put it out to bid last year. And we didn't reach any bidders with the minimum acceptable bid amount that we were looking for. So this was actually with the redevelopment authority. Under section 1503, subsection C15, we can actually sell a property directly to a nonprofit organization that is providing development activities, and that's what the RDA is. So this actually helps alleviate the need to put the property out to a bid. The agreement itself calls for $100,000 down within 45 days, and then the remaining $3 million to be paid at the time of settlement. If the property ends up being developed and sold for more than $3.3 million, the RDA and the township would split any excess proceeds 50-50. There are a couple of different changes that they're looking for with respect to our ordinances, particular couple of pieces they want to make as of right as opposed to as of by permission in our zoning ordinance for the Township Commons District. But other than that, that's the basic gist of the agreement. Oh, one other piece of it.
Easement.
Yeah, I was going to say the easement. So we also want to reserve an easement on the northeastern side of that property there to connect, 47th Street? Is that correct? East Neversink Road to Perkiomen to East 40th Street. I was close. So the reason why it's subject to review and approval by solicitors, we just need to tweak out where that meets and bounds easement is going to be for that potential roadway at some point in the future.
Yeah, that pretty well covered my bullet points that I had. The two big takeaways on it is we can sell it, as Chad said, directly to the Berks County Redevelopment Authority. We don't have to go through a bid process. The other part of it, there are two changes that we're going to have to approve, and that's being worked on by our engineering department. And one is a permitted as of right in a Township Common zoning district, and the other one is the easement from East Neversink Road at the two banks on the corner, up, I call it up over the hill, and connect to East 40th Street. And I've already seen some of the comments and got texts and emails. No, we are not going to build a road. We just want to make sure we have the easement going forward down the road. Who knows when, et cetera. We want to have that carved out. I had one other note from my end is the taxes. I've always been asked, or have been asked lately, is we paid last year in 2023, we have to pay taxes on that property. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And it was $19,934.62. But in addition to that, we also have to maintain the property. And that means our public works people. Okay, they mow, they do snow, they do whatever's required up there. And that cost is buried in our public works budget. We do not see that as a separate cost. So that would also go away with the sale. So that's my two comments. Anybody else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
do. I don't understand why we're rushing to sell this property. There's no urgent reason to do so. The Berks County Redevelopment Authority, I think, wants to build low-income housing there, which is a big decision for our board in our area. The commercial real estate market is about to melt down, which means anybody who acquires this property will transform it into low-cost residential rentals. This is the only growth sector in the real estate commercial market today. Also, I found out that their lawyer is Joan London from Kozlov Stout, who is suing us with the township's own money. This is a clear conflict of interest. Moreover, Schnee is pushing for this sale because he wants to make more money and charge more hours to the township. This is unacceptable and must be stopped. The motion says that our township manager can go ahead with the sale, but he doesn't have much experience with complex real estate deals. Schnee says he will supervise and approve the deal, but we know he is not a good negotiator or contract writer. He made a bad deal with RHM that we are still suffering from. He's also trying to maximize his billable hours because his law firm is failing. He is using the township as his main source of income. We should not let him do that. We should wait until we hire a new, qualified township manager who can handle this deal better. We are in a time of high inflation, so waiting will benefit us more. The inflation rate is north of 6%, suggesting that every month that we wait, this commercial property increases in value. For example, say if the selling price were $4 million, in 3 months the property value could increase over $65,000, and in a year, possibly over $260,000 increased value, with offset any carrying cost. the low taxes, and maintenance. Let's bring the permanent and experienced township manager on board so that Larry can go back to his full-time job as Executive Director of Public Works. Once our experienced manager has had the chance to review and work out a favorable disposition of this property, he will bring this before the board for approval, not approval by Mr. Schnee. Please table or reject this motion until further developments occur.
So is there a
Please
motion
consider
anywhere in
this
there?
For the benefit of our township. This shouldn't be a flash in the pan decision by us.
Hey, thank you, Dave. George, you had a comment?
I was wondering if there was a motion anywhere in there, because if there's not,
Yeah, I was going to
I'll
ask
make
for
one.
a
So-
motion.
So I move to enter into the agreement with Berks County Redevelopment Authority for the sale of the Promenade Shopping Center, of course, subject to review and approval by the solicitor, and then the township manager can take the further actions.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Clarence? Any additional discussion?
One item, please. It was duly noted by a member of this board roughly a year ago, mocking the fact that we had a $2 million placeholder on the budget for this sale. I would like to duly note this sale price is projected to be $3.1 million. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, this does go back to previous boards looking at selling this property, and it had been tried before, but it was on a bid process. With going to the Berks Redevelopment Authority, we don't have to do that.
And Supervisor Bell just said, it's $3 million, the $100,000 will be paid first instead of 3.1.
Very good. Thanks
Just to
for-
clarify, I
thanks for
apologize.
that.
There's no guarantee that we'll ever get $3 million for that. You want to tell the public what the appraisal value is?
Okay, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
4-1. Okay, item 2.
Item 2 is a motion to authorize the township manager to take any and all actions in furtherance of the sale of the Reading Country Club, provided that any final sale documents shall be approved by the Board of Supervisors. So this motion here tonight does not authorize the sale of the Reading Country Club by any stretch of the imagination. What it does is it authorizes our interim township manager, or maybe future manager, the ability to take any actions needed to help further a potential sale of the Reading Country Club. So there's no sale on the imminent horizon at the moment. I know a couple of different things have to happen in terms of site plans and other things. So this just really, instead of having to go back to the board every 2 weeks to authorize every little thing that's needed to help prepare the property for a potential sale, this just gives the manager that authority.
Right.
Mr. Chairman? I'd like to make a
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. I'll
That
go.
conflicts with what I was recently told, and it wasn't attorney-client privilege that told me this, but Berks County Redevelopment Authority is also buying the Reading Country Club. And I respectfully acknowledge Larry's efforts. His qualifications for managing the sale of a significant asset like the Reading Country Club are questionable, though, especially given the strong interest from RHM. This company already gains financially from the township's support of their unprofitable hospitality venture, leading to $500,000 in yearly deficits for the township, while RHM profits substantially. The likelihood of Larry seeking advice from Schnee, who would eagerly charge his high fees for non-legal services, presents a risk of unnecessary financial outlays to the benefit of Schnee's law firm. A wiser strategy would be to postpone this issue until a new experienced township manager is appointed, a process that is in progress, with interviews and a decision expected soon. This would enable Larry to focus his strengths in public works. The revelation that I found out today that BCRDA is the potential buyer adds complexity, considering the potential conflicts of interest and ethical concerns linked to our solicitor and Joan London, and the absence of competitive bidding, raising alarms about financial integrity. In the meantime, I think to improve our community and reduce financial losses, particularly the $700,000 spent annually on staffing for the golf course and banquet facilities, it's prudent to reevaluate these operations. Reducing or discontinuing these services could offer financial relief. Decisions on these matters should be made without Schnee's involvement, as they do not require his legal expertise. His role should be limited to legal matters, avoiding interference in township governance for financial gain. Together, we must find solutions that serve our residents' best interests, promoting fiscal responsibility for a more positive community outcome in the long run. So if we're really going to sell this, shut down everything and we'll save $500,000. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Okay, couple comments I have to add to this. I spent the last 2 weeks pulling a lot of this together. And I'll read my bullet items for everybody. The potential sale of the RCC is in the very preliminary stages of discussion, okay? I know there's a lot out there on social media and all, but it's in preliminary stage of discussion. There is an investment group that is interested in the purchase of the RCC and plan to retain, and I'll emphasize, retain the buildings and the golf course as is and open up the food and beverage 7 days a week. Okay? That's what we're hearing. The debt, the bonds, totals, $9.825 million, with approximately $8.9 million with a call date of 2/1/26. Interest rates range from 1.03% to 1.88%. That's all we pay on the bonds. Okay, here's a biggie. 2023, Exeter Township paid $711,738.96. Over $700,000 we paid in principal, interest, and agent fees. Okay. Part of the planning is to consolidate the site plan for the municipal complex, including review of offices, fire, police, and public works. This includes planning by KCBA for Exeter's long-term facilities needs. As part of that process is we're looking at a right-of-way from Gibraltar Road directly into the RCC. That would give the buyers a nice way in and out to the RCC instead of coming off of Perkiomen, okay?
Who's going to pay for that?
We're not. We are not going to pay for it, okay? All we're doing is it's an easement, just like we were talking at the Promenade up over the hill. We are not going to build roads. We are not going to do infrastructure. 2023, actual golf expenditures, okay? Here's the big number that everybody refers to. The actual golf expenditures were $1,327,579. $1.3 million in expenditures. Clubhouse expenses were $219,786. Add that all up, people, we got expenses of about $1.6 million every year. And that does not go away, okay?
But Jack, we don't try to control it. We never talk about it. We can't talk about it in this meeting because you can only have 5 minutes.
Why can't we?
Because
those are real numbers.
Because certain people have implemented an ordinance that you can only speak for 5 minutes. We can reduce that loss. In fact, right now, since you're going to sell it, we can eliminate that loss completely.
Okay, it'd be interesting to hear how.
It's very simple. Shut down the golf course operations.
No, that doesn't eliminate the expenses.
Sure it does.
No.
The salaries
You gotta
alone
maintain it.
The salaries alone are $700,000.
Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, any other comments? That's what I wanted to. Okay, we normally don't take comments from the audience, but I see a couple hands up, and go ahead, very briefly.
Please have them come up to the,
Yeah, come up to the microphone again and state your name, please.
Again, Pat Vlasak, 211 Rugby Road. Okay. My concern again is, and I don't mean to repeat myself, but I guess I am, will there, it sounds like the board has already made the decision that, yes, they're going to sell no?
No.
Will there be a group of concerned residents that you would feel strongly about having, believing in their truth and their value for making appropriate decisions about the sale or the not sale? I mean, it was shocking that I found out that the township was putting up the country club for sale. I mean, and I'm a quarter of a mile away.
And Pat, it will remain. One of the items we want to make sure happens, it stays as a golf course and a country club with food and beverage. That is very adamantly, everybody up here wants to see that.
But the land itself will not be
The
taken
land
up.
would still be a golf course.
It's gotta stay a golf course.
Jack,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, it's still a golf course.
Hallelujah.
And that would be part of the agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would still be nice to have some residents on the board, just to hear
Yeah.
things out and.
And since you live on Rugby Road, you're also very familiar with the golf course, or you're right next to it.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of
well,
work involved.
I was
Yeah.
one of 7 people that volunteered to do the gardening there for 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
over at the country club.
That's what Clarence was just
Yeah.
saying. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
missed doing it, but we're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And I saw another hand up. Did they, no? No? Okay. One other thing we did not comment on is the maintenance. Okay, the maintenance of the RCC, the club. Who do you think they call? Every time, I use the example, there's a toilet that's clogged up. Okay, I'll use that as an example. It might not be a good one. They call Larry, right? They call Public Works. Public Works has to go up. It's a cost. It takes Public Works people away from something else they're doing.
But Jack,
And
that's
we don't
part
have
of
a
the
good handle
contract
on
with
that.
RHM, though. That's part of our contract with them. We provide the facility for free and we maintain it.
Or it's a subcontractor,
Well,
correct?
listen, I want to ask you a question about what you said about we're going to ensure that the business is run a certain way. Once we sell that, how can we tell anyone who bought it that they have to continue running the businesses a certain way? How are you going to make that happen for perpetuity?
I will defer to our solicitor to answer that.
We can have
We
it-
have talked about
We
it.
can have a deed restriction.
Not for everything.
Not for everything, but to
Well, what if
maintain as
they-
a golf
What if
course.
they decide to just close it down? Are you going to force them to continue business when they're losing money or they don't have any money to continue running a golf course or running the country club restaurant? You can't force them to continue. What deed restriction are you going to put on them that says, if I bought it and I'm running a restaurant, I run out of money and say, well, I'm going to close it down, I'm going to close down everything, and your deed restriction is going to make me stay open? With what? You can't squeeze water out of a rock.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Clarence is going to make the motion to authorize the township manager to take any and all actions in furtherance of the sale of the Reading Country Club, provide that any final sale documents shall be approved by the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay. I got you, George. All right.
I'm like 20.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
4-1. Okay. Police, Chief, you're up.
Well, actually, Chairman, could I just add a little bit to the solicitor section, if you don't mind?
What?
Could I add a little bit to the solicitor section?
Yeah.
Perfect, okay. So we had a hearing last week in the American Water case. Just wanted to give an update to the public about that. We were able to submit the testimony of Chairman Paiho into that proceeding. There are briefs that are coming up March 26th. It's 110 pages max. Our brief will not be 110 pages, I can assure you of that. But briefing's coming up, and that'll be March and April primarily. There was a question about recycling. We're an Act 101 mandated recycling community, so that's why we have to recycle. Also, I just wanted to note that My last name is pronounced Schnee. You might have heard it pronounced incorrectly at times, but it's Schnee. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Chief, you're up. This is the ordinance on Neversink Road, correct?
Yes, no, it was Hearthstone and Eversink.
Oh, okay. Okay. Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, at the last meeting, we asked to advertise it,
Right.
that the speed limit is posted at 30, and, it's posted at 25, and the ordinance is 30, so we're asking, and we did a study to make the speed limit 25. And it's, since we just need a motion for approval now. So I'm asking for you to approve the motion for the speed limit to change from,
Hang on, Chief. Hey, Chad, could you maybe the two of you go?
I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to multitask.
Okay, all right. Sorry, Chief.
you want me to start over? Or?
No, we heard it, 25.
I'm just asking for Hearthstone to be approved to a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Right.
And it's right.
Does anybody actually go 25 down that stretch?
Well, we've done speed studies, and so there is a need to run some speed enforcement, but we can't run it until we have the proper postage and ordinance. So this will solve our problems, and we can do our job down there. That's why I'm asking to do
I'll
this.
remind my wife not to go that way.
Yeah, we'll be out there, I promise you.
I believe it. All right, do I have a motion to adopt the ordinance number 868, amending Chapter 360, Vehicles and Traffic?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Clarence, second.
What is that motion, Mr. Chairman?
Motion is, Clarence made the motion to adopt ordinance number 868, amending Chapter 360, Vehicles and Traffic.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There's a delay on the phone system.
I was waiting for Michelle.
Okay, yep, I figured that. All right, any other discussion? Okay, call the vote. All in favor of the motion to adopt ordinance number 868, amending Chapter 360, Vehicles and Traffic, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. And that brings us to Supervisors' Report.
Mr. Chairman.
Who wants to be first tonight?
I just would like to add
Oh,
something.
you got
for the
something
police.
else? I'm sorry,
Yes.
Chief.
There's just sometimes I like to just have an opportunity to just explain a couple things that I didn't put on the agenda, but just want to give the supervisors a little bit of an update for our scales that we installed. So, Exeter is the first town, police department in the state of Pennsylvania to have a permanent weigh and motion scale. So we did, at the end of the year, Larry and his crew finished installing it. We had it calibrated, and we've been running practice runs through it, making sure it's accurate, having trucks come through here and weighing them with our weigh motion and weighing them with our portable scales. And we ran a small detail at the end of last year to see how it would work out. So on March 1st was our first full-fledged detail with the scale. And we had a total of 63 citations we wrote in a 5-hour period. And 6 trucks were overweight, and we have total fine amount of $31,895. So the township gets half of the fine money. So we were very successful with our detail. We've had a lot of citations, and it's very accurate. We have it, since we had a little bit of a problem getting it straightened out because we couldn't figure out why we couldn't get it calibrated properly, and we've realized then the leaves got in there. We made adjustments on that, so the sensors are all fixed up, and Larry put some adjustments so the leaves wouldn't get in there, and it's working fantastic. So it's been a project that I've been working on in a long time with Sergeant Benson. It feels good to have it up and running and have it such a success. So very, very pleased with that. I want to tell the board.
Very good, that's good to hear. Yeah, thank
And
you.
I can tell you, when we get our 2 new hires up and running in June, our traffic unit will expand by 2 people, and we'll probably run them on a bi-weekly basis. So we're doing a lot of details.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. All right, anything else, Chief?
That's it.
Okay. All right, Supervisor Report. Anybody want to be first?
I can go first, Jack.
You passing?
I'll go, essentially, but I do want to make one quick comment. So I'll go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Chairman Paiho. There was just a little interest among the folks this last couple weeks about the manager search. So we can, in fact, multitask. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we are still working on the manager search. That did not get sidelined. We are working with a professional outside firm, and it just takes a little bit of time to aggregate resumes and the like. But Larry is on top of it. I think he normally would have gave a quick heads up this evening. He just happens to be some well-deserved family time. But that process is moving forward. More to come, but I don't want anybody to think it got derailed. We're working on it, okay? But Chairman Paiho, that's really all I was going to share this evening.
Yep. Michelle, if you can hear me, do you got anything tonight?
I have one comment that's directed to Supervisor Hughes. We have been very, told you, I don't know how many times, 100 times, a million times, what our solicitor's name is, and you refuse to give them any respect and call them that. Yeah. So I think that you won't mind us making up names for you and calling you. I mean, it's just ridiculous having to work with someone like you with your answers. Thank you, that's all.
And
Supervisor Kircher just expressed a little frustration that Supervisor Hughes does not call Chad by his correct last name. That was the extent of our comment.
Yep. Thank you, Michelle. Clarence, you got anything tonight?
No, I don't.
Okay, and I do not either. I've already said my pieces. Dave, you're up.
Yeah, I have a couple things. I have concerns regarding the oversight issues related to the Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department and their annual funding and the new tax forgiveness rates. Tonight, I'd like to address just a recent resolution authorized by Mr. Schnee regarding the criteria that must be met to earn the tax forgiveness. Recently, Bell, Gardella, Vollmer, and Kircher raised the tax property forgiveness rate from 50% to 100%, and the earned income credit was increased from $500 to $1,000. That means someone earning $100,000 would pay no earned income tax. I don't begrudge this for the volunteers, that's fine. But we do have to have oversight, and I'm not sure that we have any. Now, the board can prove me wrong. These changes represent a significant impact. However, I find the criteria for earning these generous tax advantages to be inadequately defined. To support this tax forgiveness, we need clearer and more specific criteria. Unfortunately, the current resolution does not sufficiently address the 5 areas outlined in the ordinance where and how credits can be earned. Given my limited time due to the suppression of speech, which seems to be incorporated into ordinances updated by and supported by Mr. Schnee, I'm submitting a request to the township manager tonight, and I'll forward it to him. I ask that the following documents be made available for inspection by all supervisors for the years 2023 back to and including 2019. And I have 6 issues that we need to review. Number 1 is the notarized list that should be signed by the chief, and that's per 340-82E. The criteria in effect for each year and the resolution that adopted the criteria, which is part of 340-82B. Service logs required to be kept by the chief and made available to the Board of Supervisors, the State Fire Commissioner, and the Auditor General as per 940-82E. Original volunteer applications for credits, which must be signed by the chief according to 340-82F. Proof of municipal review per 340-82G. And finally, the official tax credit register. The recently passed resolution for criteria is inadequate and requires immediate revision. These are significant benefits, well-deserved for the volunteers who earn them. But it's our obligation to the public, to our residents, that we oversee this, and we're not overseeing any of these monies. $1.2 million now we send to Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department, a 501c3 controlled by the Jordan family. So I hope that we will follow up on this. This is my request with the chairman, with the manager. Finally,
It's an inappropriate.
I want to talk about my issues with Mr. Schnee here. In the past 2 years, Mr. Schnee's professional missteps have become increasingly evident, from initiating expensive and fruitless lawsuits to his inability to draft contracts effectively, resulting in disadvantageous terms for our taxpayers, as seen with the RHM deal. Moreover, Schnee's deliberate distortion of public records through the manipulation of meeting minutes to suit his biases rather than providing factual accounts undermines trust. His habit of exceeding his professional responsibilities to boost his income by meddling in the government responsibilities and political affairs of our township further aggravates the situation. Compounding these issues, Schnee has ignored directives from our township manager to abstain from social media, where he is active at taxpayers' expense, engaging in deceptive practices along with his wife by using fake profiles to deflect criticism and attack those questioning his competence. This situation necessitates a pivotal shift. Our community deserves the services of ethical and efficient law firms and solicitors who prioritize public interest over personal enrichment. I suggest we disengage our government and our community from Schnee Legal Services and find a competent law firm closer to home. That's my report for this evening.
Dave, one question. You asked for a review of ordinances from 2019 to 2023? Is that all the ordinances?
Those are not ordinances. I requested the documents that we have to keep to approve the tax credits and tax forgiveness of the volunteers.
For the fire
Yes.
company? Okay.
I've been asking for the logbooks for several weeks now. Apparently, they don't exist, but we'll have to see. We basically, as a unit of supervisors, we need to perform an audit. And if all this material is provided, maybe here in this room, or visiting Larry's office, we can review these together or separately, but this will confirm that we are doing it, and it will also be our first attempt at oversight.
Okay. And that's what I made a note on.
And if they don't exist, I'm gonna ask the Auditor General if he has it,
Yeah.
because he's supposed to get the logbook.
I take it you looked under the ordinances,
I
just like I'm
certainly
going
did. I
to?
thoroughly familiarized myself with them, and I'm sure Mr. Schnee has as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of the supervisors. We have,
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
okay,
Tom Howe. I asked this question because it was posted on one of the social medias today. I believe it was the school board changed the amount of money, I think for the fire people, from $600 to $599. And it listed so that you wouldn't have to send out a 1099. Are the fire people getting sent 1099s? It's income.
I can take that.
It's income.
we got the deputy chief here, because I cannot answer that right now.
Because I have a lot more to address too. Would you like me to wait till public comment? Because I have a lot more.
Well, we're into the non-agenda items, and I just wrote down Tom's name because he became first. Would you like to, Chris, would you like to comment on that?
Sure.
Okay, jump up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll add your name.
There's a lot of questions coming up. Chris Jordan, Deputy Fire Chief, Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department. A lot of questions over the last 5 minutes here. So to address Mr. Howell's question, no, we do not receive a 1099 from the township for the real estate tax credit. That real estate tax credit by state legislation is tax exempt and does not require a 1099.
What about the federal?
We talked to our accountant, and our accountant solidified that with a letter to us. We presented that letter to the school board. Unfortunately, their auditor said that anybody that has income needs to get a 1099. So we decided to take the credit to $599 because they could not agree with our account. So I hope that answers that. But there is legislation passed by the state of Pennsylvania that I could share with the board that specifically shows that the real estate tax credits provided to volunteers are tax exempt and do not require a 1099. So I can share that with the board tomorrow. Sounds like I'm going to have some more stuff to share with the board.
Thank you.
I just want to go back a little bit before I get into Mr. Hughes's questions. Number one, Mr. Clark, I appreciate you being supportive of the programs. To answer his question, the total tax credit program as implemented should cost the township between $15,000 and $17,000 this year. To offer some perspective, when we first started the program in 2019, we had 9 people participating, and this year we have 20 people participating, which, to me is what the program's all about, adding people, getting people out, volunteering. So that to me is very positive. And like I said, I appreciate the support, but I wanted to make sure you knew what that budget number was. I have a comment about KCBA. Mr. Hoover expressed some thoughts about KCBA. The one question that I have is, I know we're entering an agreement with them, or we're going to have them look at the facilities. We've been working with KCBA now long before 2020. We've been working with KCBA since around 2013. So my question to the board would be, before Chief Harley, we were working with Chief Neidert back in 2015 with the fire department, the police department, the highway department, the township, and looking at an overall plan for this area. So I'm not sure if we could use some of those plans, or at least ask them to bring those back up for us to review.
Larry has copies of them. I've seen them. There's like 4 or 5 different plans.
Right, so that could be something, before we spend more money with them, something we may want to review. There may be some good ideas in there.
That's one
we can
thing you and I
re-implement.
both agree on, Mr. Jordan.
Great, found one. Just a suggestion, because I know we've been working with them for years. Again, I'd have to pull out the information. It might be outdated.
You always dust off what you did in the past. I do it too all the time.
Right.
You start with maybe what you already know and then revise accordingly.
And I'm sure some of it's outdated, but I think it would be good
Yeah.
and prudent to look at that before we enter that agreement or spend more money on that.
A lot of things have changed in the last, oh my word, if you're only talking in the last 8 years, 9 years.
For sure.
Police calls, fire calls.
Right.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to address, Mr. Hughes requested a lot of information. I did work with Larry over the last week or two. I was trying to pull up on my phone the exact times I sent them. But Mr. Hughes already did request some information that I've already sent through. I sent through the 2003 notarized list of all the volunteers, which I actually have with me right now. This is the notarized list.
Yeah, we received it.
Okay, so I just want to make sure you receive that. I believe he also requested the 2022 notarized list. That's right here. I think he might have mentioned the 2021 notarized list. That's here. And the 2020 notarized list is right here. And the 2019 notarized list is right here. So I think I can send those to everybody tomorrow. I also did get a request from Larry, from Mr. Hughes, to share with him the eligible people and how they became eligible. I shared that list for 2023. I hope he passed that along to the board.
Yeah, we have it.
I also forwarded along the service logs that were required by the people that did not meet the criteria for the fire department, so that was already sent. I'm going to leave it to the board as far as, if you want me to go back as far as 2019. That's going to take me a little while to compile all that information. But I will say that the information for 2023, all of the applications were submitted to the finance department. They have the applications, which are signed by me. They have the W-2s of the individuals. They have the paid tax bills. And I also forwarded the service logs to the township.
Yep.
And the notarized list is with it as well. So I feel like we've done our part. If the board is requesting that we go back and look at previous records, we can certainly do that. But I will say that some of those records, I don't know if I have them, quite honestly, from 2019. I'd have to look. I kept the list for sure.
Mr. Jordan,
Yes, sir.
you know, you understand what I'm asking for is simply what the ordinance requires
Right.
the board and the manager to review. We should already have those records in our file somewhere, okay? So I'm not asking you to find them, to recreate them. If we don't have them, then maybe Larry is asking you. But we should already have those to verify that the volunteers did qualify for the tax credits. And now, like your $16,000 number, that's for 2023 based on 50% property tax relief and $500.
No, that's based on the new numbers.
No, for 2020, I'm sorry, for 2023.
Correct.
There was no criteria until they just brought show me the criteria for those months. The resolution should exist that created the criteria for every single month. And then those logbooks are supposed to be kept by the chief for each volunteer who qualifies. And there's 5 areas of qualification, which the resolution really didn't address. It was really like a 7th grader resolution that didn't cover what the ordinance requires.
I thought it did very well in covering everything. And after talking with the state puts it into the fire department and the municipality's hands to develop the criteria at which the tax credit is issued.
The criteria is supposed to be determined by this board based on the 5
Correct.
areas of criteria. Okay, we
And-
didn't address all 5. We didn't do it. Trust me, I studied this for a couple days now. Maybe you think you did, but it's not covered. But we could debate it. We'll see. The Auditor General will be the final arbiter of whether it meets the criteria or not. They'll be the final arbiter. Fair enough?
Okay.
Sure, listen, we appreciate your support, and if you want to try to do everything you can
I'm not
to-
holding your feet to the fire. I'm holding the supervisors and the
No, Mr.
township
Hughes,
manager's
I
feet
think
to
you
the
are holding
fire.
my feet to the fire.
Not really.
Yes, you are.
All right,
Yes,
that's
you are.
enough.
And-
That's
and
enough, guys.
what I will say
I'm
is,
sorry you feel that way.
no, but what I
Guys.
will say is, there's one thing missing from you and me, and even Chief Harley. It's the word trust. Okay?
We've
It's the
lost a
word
lot of trust over the years with our supervisors and our solicitor. I mean, it's gone. Yeah,
All
it's
right,
hard to get it back.
Let's move on, guys, okay?
Any other
Thank
information
you.
from me?
Nope, you,
So at this
you've
point,
given
do
the
you have all
info,
the
we're
information you
fine.
need,
We're
or-
good, we're
Okay,
good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, back to the top of the list. Christine Rapp, did I say that right? She left? Ooh, okay, I'll cross her off. Dave, I assume you already made your comments, but your name is on here.
I'd like to make a non-agenda.
You wanna jump up there?
public comment.
Okay, all right. Little unusual, but okay.
But I'm a taxpayer.
It's excluded from the ordinance, but.
So, I don't have a lot to talk about, but I did cover a lot of material in my conversations during this meeting. And I just want to say that the Board of Supervisors need to start working together. I've been excluded from a lot of things. Now, Jack, you said you're going to work with me before you got elected. I believed you. But I had no idea. I mean, I was surprised there's just some other people that we were selling the Reading Country Club. I was never involved in any of those discussions. Never. So I'd like to be included in these. I'd like to have some of the things that I suggested be on the agenda. I mean, you don't have to pass them, but we should be able to talk about them. I think there's a real need to have a forensic audit of the Reading Country Club. It's never been done. All the financial records of the Reading Country Club disappeared, and the township never followed up on it. It's still an unknown thing. Where did they go? Where did our financial records go? So I'm looking at the revenue for this past year. It doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense. And I'm concerned about it. So I'd like to see a forensic audit completed. I don't think we should sell that without a forensic audit. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. All right, let's see. I have Don Wilson.
Don Wilson, 645 Gerhart Lane. Last month, or last meeting that you had, you approved a change to a subdivision for Gerhart Lane, 671 Gerhart Lane. A man is wishing to construct a house. My problem with that is we came to a zoning meeting the week before your Board of Supervisors meeting, which we had all got letters about the zoning meeting. It was posted on the property to discuss possible zoning changes. We came to that meeting, and a couple of the residents, Mrs. Rapp that left was one of them, a couple other people were here. And we walked in, and the zoning people said, oh, the person who wanted to make the application had canceled and asked it to be postponed to the next meeting of the zoning board, which is tomorrow night. Meanwhile, you came up and you made a change to the zoning up there. The original subdivision said that there was 4 houses allowed on the unapproved portion of Gerhart Lane. There is 4 houses there. This would be the 5th house. And what's to stop the person that's wanting to build the 5th house from saying, let's build a 6th one now, since I've got this kind of approval? You know, the neighbors, we're going to be at the zoning meeting tomorrow night again. But again, I question how the board could, without having input from the zoning board or the citizens, make a decision on that particular property. And I know I watched the video where the lady that was with him came up and handed the Board of Supervisors some sort of letter or whatever. Then you went into an executive session and came back and made the decision. I think it was wrong to make it that way. And again, without the input of the people who are affected, tomorrow night, I've got pictures of the water running down the hill from 2 rains. Clarence's people had to come in the other rain, after one of the rains, and bring a front end loader up to clean off the ice because his truck couldn't get up the hill to salt it. You know, we've had this water problems. We built retaining walls to try to channel the water and everything else from up there, and then you kind of give him a blanket okay to build. So again, we'll be at the zoning hearing board tomorrow, but I just think what you did was not, I don't want to say kosher, but wasn't something that should have happened without input from the zoning board. Thank you.
Okay, hang on, Don. The zoning hearing is for the slope of the
Yes.
driveway.
Well, but when they advertised, this letter talks about that, but it also indicates about any other particular things that happened to that property. And that's, we had,
The catch-all phrase,
Yeah.
but specifically, it is about the slope of the driveway, going up an additional one, I think from 12 to 13.7 or so
it wouldn't be
percent.
for our one neighbor, every time it rains, getting his little ATV out with his plow on it and scraping the road and leveling out. It's nothing but ruts. I have a garage that a number of years ago, the water came down enough to crack the floor in the garage. You know, that whole area up there is really unfit for building because it's springs and it's rocky.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're gonna wanna, how are they gonna get sewer lines up there? How are they gonna get water lines? Are they gonna be able to get a well in up there? They're gonna do a sand mound, you know.
And they still have to do the storm.
Yeah, they
So
still
they
gotta
still
go-
have that trip, they gotta get over that.
Oh, I know. But I
There's a
just-
lot
that's a
of
big
land
one.
development yet.
We
Yeah,
just
they're-
thought that was a
They're
little
not there
bit,
yet.
a little bit out of context before we had a chance to
Have,
comment.
have you spoken to the owner of the property, or have they spoken to you? Curiosity?
No, I have not personally. He's spoken to a couple of the neighbors.
Okay.
One of the neighbors he kind of accosted a little bit because they were driving, our neighbor rides trail bikes, and the other people that own property right next to his give him permission to ride the trail bikes up there. And he came out and, I don't want you anywhere near my property, and yelled at him and everything else. You know, and it's, as far as I know, I haven't talked to him personally,
Okay, I was just curious.
but we're,
Yeah.
you know, we're just
Okay.
not, he can't, the actual best way to put a road up to that property would have been up further on Butter Lane, but he doesn't want to pay Buddy's Nursery the $25,000 that Buddy's Nursery wants for a right-of-way. So, other than that, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Don. Okay, and last one, Stephen
It's pronounced Krupiak.
Krupiak?
Stephen
Did I say that
Krupiak.
right?
Yes.
All right.
Bose Lane.
Okay,
I hear communication and transparency here all the time. I just found out tonight about this sale myself. I got my taxes in the mail, and we have gone up 185% in the last 3 years on this recycle. So Mr. Snee, is that how you say it?
It is.
Was trying to explain to me that any community that's over 5,000 people must recycle, which I already knew. I said, do we have to go through the township to do it? Can anyone answer that?
yeah.
We are getting killed.
It's yes, yeah.
My
We're getting
understanding
killed
is
on that.
yes. Yeah,
Just like
that is,
PA Water and Sewer. We sold the sewer plant. May I
Correct.
ask a question? Did any of the money from the sewer plant go back to the taxpayers?
Yes, yes, some did.
That 1 year or 2 years?
2 years with
Okay.
with the Homestead Act.
Next question. Did we profit 1 cent from that Reading Country Club?
I don't think so.
Not 1 cent in 23, 24 years?
There were some years where we had several $100,000 in operating income, and that money was transferred over to the general fund to cover our
To
budget
the general
shortfalls.
fund, but did it help the taxpayers? No.
Probably
We
not.
took $93 million of that money. You used 50 million of it to help the community. You helped the police department, you helped the fire department. Everything else, I hear all this bickering about this Reading Country Club. I was ecstatic to see that it's going to go up for sale. Hopefully it'll go the right way. Now, back to communications and transparency. I just happened to look online and seen that one of our supervisors is now back on the board that was voted out.
Yes.
How did this happen without communicating to the people? No one knows this stuff. No one understands this recycle thing. I mean, you got these people that come here every 2 weeks on a regular basis. You got how many thousands of people in this community? How do you communicate to them? How do we find out about this stuff? If we don't jump online and look at it every other week and watch every little thing that you do and the bickering that goes back and forth, he brings up good points and everybody hates him. I don't know the man personally, but he brings up good points. You need to have this transparency and communication. Work together. You're supposed to be working for us. Who owns the township? Can you answer that question?
You do.
Who owns it?
The residents.
Exactly. Why are we paying more taxes this year, 21%? How much money is left from the sale of that sewer plant?
Hey, we were told we wouldn't have
How
to pay
much
taxes
is
for
left?
10 years, about 43 million.
About 43 million. You spent how much bailing out the police department for the retirement fund? Why did we have to bail them out? Were we that
Actually-
far
actually,
behind?
Actually, we didn't bail them out. We put $10 million.
In advance.
Overfunded.
Overfunded, and they deserve it. I mean, that's helping our community, I understand all that. But how about the taxpayers? What do we get? We get a 21% increase. I'm paying a debt service tax since, what is it now, 2007? The last 2 meetings that I came to, and I only came to 3, this is only my 3rd one. And I argued with this man here and the other guy that's gone about these CDs. Now you're bickering, okay, we're gonna do 6 months with $10 million and 3 months with another $10 million. Whose money is it? Not yours, not yours, not yours. It belongs to the township. Help us out. We people, like this one lady was saying, their retirement age. We're all on fixed incomes. And you keep raising it, and somehow you think that's good for the township? I don't get, you need to consider this next budget. Of course, now that I found out you're gonna try to sell this thing, and the Promenade, where does all that money go? Back into the general fund, correct? You're sitting with $40 million in the general fund, and you're raising our taxes and charging us a debt service tax for a golf course? How does that make sense to anyone? How does it help anyone? How does it help our community? It doesn't. So I suggest, my opinion, sell it, try to keep it a golf course, whatever, but give back to the people who have been paying for it for all these years. I've been a resident for over 30 years. And all I got was increase. This recycle, I talked to him about this again. How did you approve to go up 185% in the past 3 years? When I first moved here, we paid with our sewer bill, $5 every quarter, $20 for years. 2019, okay, they decided they're gonna move it up. So they went to $30. Then they went to $35. Then they went to $70. Then they went to $78. Now it's $144. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but you take 200,000 residents or whatever it is, you tell me we can't get a better deal? Who negotiated this contract with who was it, Mascaro?
We put it out for bid. There was only one bidder, Mascaro. I tried to
Only one bidder.
I tried to redo the bid, because we had other people that were interested, and they came in and they were staring me down.
And we're saying we're mandatory by the state that we must recycle. But where does it say in the township that we must do it through the township? Does it say it anywhere? Can anyone answer that?
I don't know the answer to that.
Is there any ordinances on that? Does anyone know? No response.
I think we put out a contract for all the recycling, and that's how it's covered.
And like you were saying earlier, we may as well just throw it in your trash because they only recycle 6% of everything we put in there anyway.
But not taking more than one bid hurt us, you know?
So we can still do mandatory recycling and leave it up to every individual to get their own.
Still gonna get charged for it.
Please put that in as a recommendation.
You'll pay more.
You really think so? You really think so?
Yes,
Probably.
you'll pay more. Yeah, I agree.
How can you go from $20, go up 185%, and tell me you're gonna pay more? That don't make sense. You know that.
Plus, you'll have a lot of people that just won't do it, and then
Yeah.
Right, it's all ending up in the trash anyway. We all
I'm not
know
arguing
that.
with that.
If the
I can't
provider
Can I
has. a
So,
ask you to
monopoly-
wrap it
again,
up?
back to the transparency,
Can't break
when
it.
all this went down, I'm sitting home and I get my tax bill, and I see this thing go up. How do we communicate better with the people that live here with some kind of newsletter or something when you have these big things like the Reading Country Club being sold that probably 85% of people do not know about? Is there a way that we can communicate better with the residents?
There definitely is. But I forgot your last name.
It's Krupiak, K-R-U-P-I-K.
Okay. Now, let me point something out to you. The budget that was passed has a I estimate $2.5 million deficit. So all the tax increases weren't passed on to you. It's probably another 2 mils of taxes that it should go up.
So what's stopping you from using the $42 million?
Oh, no, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna subsidize it with the reserves. That's what's gonna
Now,
happen.
Mr. Snee also told me that they get a grant for this recycling. Is there any issues with that on how much the state or I'm assuming it's the state that gives the grant?
Yeah, it's a state grant, yes.
And how much of a grant do you get for paying, now having to go 185% over? Do they give you more grant money?
I'm not a finance expert, I wouldn't know.
I'm surprised at that.
There's a lot of unknown questions here, and there's a lot of good solutions. I heard some person on one of the videos I watched, sell that part of that and build all your stuff right here, you know, and sell the rest of the golf course, and they'd just be short, what, 1 or 2 holes? I don't even know what's on that side of the street. But this transparency thing is not as transparent as you think. I mean, how do we get this information?
Steve, can you wrap it up?
That's it. That's
That's
all
it?
I got.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, that was the last one, unless somebody else wants to jump up there. No, do you really?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I'm a nice guy.
You're a very nice guy.
Yeah. Well, no, we give you guys,
Exeter
give
Township.
everybody a chance to talk.
Yes.
Go ahead. Name again, just
Bill
for the
Clark,
record.
Exeter Township. Single largest increase percentage-wise on my tax bill was the recycling, as you probably heard just now. And it does sound like, how many people got Pam King money from one of the people doing the recycling? I think there's a few of you that did, at least one.
Would you like to substantiate that claim, Mr. Clark?
Hmm?
Would you like to substantiate that
No,
claim?
I just said
Or
I
would you just
think-
like to
I
talk out
think-
your rear end? Okay.
I want to know who paid. It ain't the first time people in this township,
You don't make
people in
unbiased
this
claims like that.
township have received,
Show some respect and at least,
no.
if you're going to make a
people-
claim like that, bring something to the table.
There was a supervisor in this township who lived in the township, who was, state troopers came in and she had to move because she took billboards back in, I'm gonna say back in 2013 or somewhere around there. And we've had a lot of problems in this township in general, starting with Giles. You remember him?
And,
Good old boy. Good old boy comes through, we need money, we know how to do it. Just sign the check, okay. And it turns out how many millions of dollars he was playing with school
But he
funds.
killed himself, right?
Yeah. Only because
He
he's
got
going
caught.
to jail real quick. The other thing,
Oh,
you're
one
going to
more
talk
thing?
about you're talking about selling the country club. You ever think about turning that country club into a public park with no baseball, no diamonds, nothing? Just public park, like Greens Mills, okay? Boom. And take that building, which I like, which when they decided to put the Knight's Castle in front of it, they destroyed it. But take that building and move all your business over there. Use this building as the basis for your new firehouse, at least the office parts, and build off that. You have a starting point. You get away from expenses. Well, you're going to have to eventually save money because you're not paying all the groundskeepers. And you may have to pay uptake, but you're going to pay uptake here. You're paying upkeep here, so you pay there too. Just move your whole offices over there. All the township, too. Tax collector, everybody. You got plenty of room. That building's plenty big. And you've been spending a lot of money upgrading it, so get some use out of it. You're spending a lot of money upgrading it and getting nothing out of it. Use it. And then get an architect to start this as your basis for your fire company and police department. And even emergency services even. And you use this as your base building to start with and add on to it. It's got to be cheaper than building a brand-new building. Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Clarence, second.
I'll second.
George, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Michelle.